Welcome to another episode of the Pixelated Porch Podcast. Today, you are joined by your friendly nerd gamers, Chris, Ricky, and myself, Michael. And today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about games that have been made into movies and vice versa. Movies that have been made into games and what our thoughts are on some of them. But first, as usual, let's catch up with our nerds and see what we all have been up to this week. Ricky, let's start with you since we started with Chris last week.
Yeah. So, didn't get up to too much this week. I pretty much consolidated all my efforts into two things. So, I wanted to rewatch season 4 of Attack on Titan because, like I mentioned in the previous episode, tomorrow night is going to be the series/season finale. So this is the big bang, the big switcheroo. So this is what everything's been leading up to. So if you know anything about Attack on Titan, you watch that show one time and it's awesome, and then you go back and watch it again with the knowledge that you acquire, and it's a completely different show. So sure enough, there are some very little subtle clues and hints of things to come. So, basically is watching it with that intent, like just looking for like little, even just little like facial expressions of, certain words or things that are said.
So I have a quick question. Since you've rewatched 1 through 4 and you're on season 5 now and watched all up to this last episode, this is probably going to show you where I left off. I think I left off when season 3 was getting ready to come out. So I watched season 1 and season 2, and then season 3 was going to come out, and then I never watched it. I waited because season 3 came out in parts.
No spoilers real fast, but is season 2 the beach?
No, that's season 3.
Okay, I've seen through season 3 then.
Well, now I know there's a beach in it. So great. All right, don't need to watch it.
Oh my god, that tells you so much.
So remember in the first season when the Titan steps on his house and there was something in the basement that he was trying to get to? Do you ever figure out what was in the basement? Because I don't remember if you ever find out in season 2 what was in the basement.
Is it disappointing.
Was it a cat? Like, was it Family Cat?
I thought it was awesome.
I hate that show, man. I hate
really?
that show. I don't want to crap on it. I know you like it, but like, I felt like the whole show is them just standing around exacerbating how they can't do it and it's impossible and all hope is lost, and then Mikasa, whoever she is, comes in, kicks ass, and is like, okay, can we get on with the plot? And everybody's like, okay. It was that the whole thing, and then they do the flashbacks, like something that happened 2 minutes ago. We now have to rewatch the flashback. Come on! I remember looking for a YouTube video that was Attack on Titan without flashbacks. Just let me see the goddamn story.
But it's not as bad as all the filler episodes in Dragon Ball Z where what's his nuts is floating on the clouds for like 20 something episodes, and like here he's floating on the clouds and riding the big giant cloud rainbow for 20 minutes. Like, what is he doing?
And then Ricky quit.
I'm gonna destroy this planet in 5 minutes.
30 episodes later.
30 episodes later. Yeah. What did you say,
Chris?
Chris?
And then Ricky quits the podcast because we're dumping on his favorite animes.
Hey.
Right. Just the Discord.
I really liked Attack on Titan. My buddy Malai and I, we went to Comic-Con in England, and we told ourselves that if we go to Comic-Con again together, that we're going to dress up as those Titan guys or the killers. Unfortunately, as much as I love the show, I can't remember the name because it's been, if you do the math, when did season 2 end? That's when I was watching it. So it's been a minute. So, but whatever those riders are that have the blades and the harp,
Yeah, the scouts.
So we wanted to do that and have the jackets and have the emblems on our back of our jacket and go to Comic-Con and dress up. We were going to do that. Even as an adult, going to Comic-Con and wearing costumes, we were just like, hell yeah. We had a blast wearing the Power Ranger. We wore Power Ranger, those skin tight, like the Green Man suits. We wore those. But we were Power Rangers, and we did that, and we had a blast, so we were just like, if we're dressing up again, we're being the guys on Attack on Titan, and we're going to get the full get up.
Right. You probably would have been the only ones,
actually, believe it or not, we saw one other chick. There was one chick that was rocking that whole entire get up. She didn't have the, the things on the side, where they used to, propel themselves. but she was wearing the rest of the
Yeah,
get up, and we were just like, damn, that is nice. Like, we definitely want to do that. Be like a whole Attack on Titan squad.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can see how that can be frustrating, but I really, really like how they take the time to really, I guess, go into the backstory of all the characters, so then you get more context of what is happening and why they're doing the things they are doing. And, you know, I know I briefly mentioned it yesterday, but it honestly reminds me a lot of really like Game of Thrones, because you get like all this backstory, all these families and things that they've been through, and how they all interweave. I find that stuff like so fascinating. And I mean, even from like the first episode, like I was immediately hooked on this show, because I don't know, it's got the dark, depressing tones, but it's also, I mean, it's gory as hell. A lot of really good action. I actually really like how they take the time to, like, as far as like the battles go, like those take place over multiple episodes, and you really get to see, I guess, in detail, like the strategies and like all the, like when shit hits the fan, like you're in the shit with them.
I guess it's
throughout the whole thing.
It's one thing good I can say about Attack on Titan is they did do the building of horror really well, which I think a lot of animes don't do very well. And it wasn't so much because there's a big spooky monster out there. It's just the constant dread and fear of, you know, a Titan getting through the wall, or a Titan finding through the perimeter, or like when they're outside of the wall a couple times and it's nighttime, it's just like, ooh, I don't know. Could be a Titan anywhere. And then, oh, it's not one. It's 30. They're here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, like, talking on the fear aspects, like just the fact that they don't know hardly anything about them. Like, what the hell even is a Titan? Like, we know that they're giant naked humans that like to eat people for some reason. And, you know, I guess throughout the show, you know, things may or may not come to light, but I don't know. I found that very interesting. Like, what is going on in this world? Why are things the way that they are? And it's, I don't know. I find it super fascinating. I really, really like the world that and the stories that they've built in this universe.
I know we're going to talk about it on this episode, but is there a game for Attack on Titan?
Yes, I have brought it up multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we can talk about that later. I was just curious, because I mean that might be a pretty fun game.
Yeah. But yeah, we can save that for the later portion. So, but yeah, so like I was saying, you know, the season finale is tomorrow night, or I guess really series finale. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I can't help but feel like I'm going to be disappointed with the ending of this show.
Well, it's going to end just like
I really
Game of
hope
Thrones, dude.
everything pays off.
Knife attack out of the top window, just out of the blue. You know, done. All the Titans are dead. You killed the Master Titan, if that's a thing.
The Master.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing or not.
I'm really hoping for a nice big red ribbon to tie the bow and tie the knot on everything, and kind of tie everything together. And maybe once you go back and watch the show again, then you have yet another context of, you know, way to look at things.
Where are you watching it, by the way? Are you watching it like on Funimation, or?
I'm watching it on Crunchyroll.
Oh, okay. Because you're watching it with subtitles, not dub, right?
Yeah, it's in Japanese.
Only way to watch it.
Read while I want to see things. So.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this before, but yeah, I mean, it honestly kind of depends on the show, honestly. But yeah, I definitely Attack on Titan. I enjoy it way more.
Same thing
Japanese.
with My Hero.
That
you can't watch My Hero in English dub. Yeah. You can't do it.
Yeah, they do such a good job with the emotion, and you know, we're talking like the dread and the anguish that they go through. Like, they do a damn good job. So, but yeah, Attack on Titan. I'm excited. I'm worried, and I'm sure I'll talk about it next week. Let you guys know what I thought. So I also last week we talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake. So pretty much every waking moment of my free time, I've been playing this game over this past week, and I beat the game about 2 days ago. And yeah, you got to play this game, Chris. Whether it takes like a year for you to download it, it'd be worth it. It's
like
really
I said off podcast, I started downloading a 7 gig game yesterday at 10 p.m. and it's now about 10 p.m. and it still has like a quarter left. It's insane.
What game is it?
Paradise City.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, out of all the games you're waiting to download, that's the one you chose.
Hey, shut up.
No, I mean I think the Final Fantasy is like 64
Yeah.
gigs.
Otherwise, I would have been downloading it by now. But that's. It is what it is.
I feel like, everybody else is looking for ammo right now. Everybody else is looking for like toilet paper right now, and Chris is just like, I need that, itching his arm, just like, I need that internet, I just need that internet. It's like, well, I'll do anything for internet.
Elon.
Come on, Starlink.
Yeah, man. So the game, like I said, it's really good. And I think we talked about this a bit last week as well. Music, the soundtrack is fantastic. I've actually been listening to it on Spotify as well. It's all like all the titles are in Japanese and everything, but it's really damn good. I've been listening to it at work and everything, just kind of background music. The game does take some liberties. It does change some things that were not in the original at all, but I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the ride, and I think they actually just announced the first expansion to the game as well, where one of the characters, Yuffie, is going to be one of the main focus of it. I don't know if this is like actually part 2 or if it's like just part 1.5 or something. So, but yeah, I honestly don't know what they're going to do with the rest of this game, because I put in probably about 60 hours into the game, but in the grand scope of things, this is like the beginning of the beginning. Like there is way more to the story of Final Fantasy VII.
You said this game's disc 1, right?
Yeah, and actually I actually looked that up after I said it, because like it doesn't actually sound right, but no, there's like way more actually on disc 1 alone. Wow. And the game was 3 disc long back on PS1.
I just remember playing 7 over like an entire year. I was a dumb little kid,
same.
But like still.
Yeah, I actually had the strategy guide for it, and I swear it was like 2 inches thick, or it was literally a Bible and I used that to walk me through that game. And this game isn't nearly that in detail, but there is a lot of like like team management, like managing your materia and figuring out like if I combine these two, then I get this effect, and you're trying to figure out like how to balance out your team and everything. Like all that is pretty much exactly the same in the remake, but the combat and the graphics, and I know we talked about this again last week, but holy shit, this game looks amazing. And I played on the base PS4. This isn't even like a pro or anything, and this is actually I guess they actually recently ported it to PS5 as well, so I can't imagine how good this game would look. So but yeah, I can't say enough good things about Final Fantasy VII Remake. But like I said, I don't know what they're going to do from this point, because from the point in the game, the part 1 that is out right now, it all takes place in Midgar, which is basically like this universe's like New York City, you can say. And then after that, like it goes open world. So I don't know how they're going to do that with or what the cutoff point is going to be for part 2, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Hopefully we get some more news.
So part of me's like thinking ahead, like, are they going to really charge $60 for each installment of this one game? But
yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they've really announced like an official roadmap to it. Like they pretty much put out part 1, and it's like, well,
let's see if this sticks.
We'll see it when part 2 comes out. Yeah,
I'm thinking, one, that would suck if I've got to pay $60 every. I mean, I got a PlayStation Plus, but if I got to pay, $60 every time just to keep playing this game, but at the same time, you said you got 60 hours put into it, $10 an hour. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. It'll take a lot of time to get through the game. Well worth it though. Anyways, but yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake is really good. But that's pretty much honestly what I've been up to this week. I've been on a YouTube rabbit hole of To Catch a Predator. That is.
Are you trying to catch a predator?
Trying to catch a predator. Alien versus Predator. But yeah, we don't have to get into all that. But I don't know. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
The predator or the people who are trying to catch the
And
predator?
just the way that Chris Hansen talks is so funny to me. So, did you bring condom?
Did you know she was 14? No.
No. This is my first time. Now you know.
We're going to have to arrest you.
That's not the first time I've heard that. Says here in the chat. But yeah. So anyways, Chris, what
This
you been up
week
to,
has
man?
lasted a month. It's been very busy. So probably the biggest noteworthy thing that made this week last so long, was it Wednesday? Wednesday, I think. We had a really big storm come through. Really big. Heavy winds, heavy rain, shaking the RV. We had hail at one point. It was insane. We lost power at 12:30 in the afternoon. We didn't have power back for 32-something hours.
Ooh.
So that sucked. There was, of course, we live up on top of a mountain, so there's really only one road to get from either town down there. And of course, being on the mountain, the power lines and stuff running beside the road are beside these big trees. And because the landscape is so rocky and full of red clay around here, the tree roots aren't that deep. So if you get heavy enough wind, the trees can literally just blow over. Healthy trees can just kind of blow over. So there was something well over like 500 or 600 reported cases in our area alone of people without power. So yeah.
Wow.
We had no power. We did have so the RV does have a battery which you can run like the basic like lights and stuff. The fridge runs off of propane. The stove runs off of propane. But turns out, I didn't think about this, the well that we have runs off of power because it requires the generator, the pump to fill up the pressure tank, and that's how you get your water into the RV. Without power, you don't have water. So, that was not fun. We were just without power, without internet for, 30 hours, so...
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. We did have, my wife has a little hotspot that we can refill, and it was, I think we got 10 gigs for I think like $50, and we were just sitting there watching Netflix all day, in the dark. Yeah.
You didn't have water, but at least you got internet.
It wasn't good internet, but it was internet.
You had internet. That's now like one of the the necessities of life. You gotta have food and water and internet.
Yep.
Yeah, no power is one thing, but no internet, just kill me.
How do you
I'm
live?
out.
Yeah. We went down to town. There was tree debris everywhere. Like the really big storm only lasted maybe like 15 to 20 minutes. It wasn't that long. It was just really intense. And then after that, you could hear chainsaws everywhere from people trying to clear the roads. Apparently, the DOT shut down the highway that we live on, so until the roads were clear. But you could still drive through there. There's just gigantic tree trunks. Like, you couldn't wrap your arms around them. Ooh. Laying right beside the road. And, of course, those went down across the power lines and everything. So, that was fun. Neither of us could do our jobs for 2 days, so now we're pretty much working through the weekend, which kind of sucks. So... let's see what else. Of course, I haven't really been able to play any games except for yesterday. I don't know what it is about springtime, but I always want to play racing games in the springtime. So, I had Burnout Paradise City a long time ago, back on PS3 era. And that turns out is the only Burnout that's available on PS4, which kind of sucks. I don't know. I like Burnout better than Need for Speed. Anyway, so I downloaded. I am downloading still currently the Paradise City HD remake from the PlayStation Store. So I look forward to playing that. And I guess last thing is, so we took the pups with us down to town today. We went down there to do a little bit of laundry. The bedding stuff is really big, and our washer dryer is small. Yeah, small is a good way to put it. Think of like a normal circular laundry basket, and it's about half the size of one of those. So one pillow would fill the whole thing up. So it's difficult to do big stuff. So anyway, we took that stuff down there to go do that. Took the pups with us, walked around town. That was pretty fun. That's actually what we're doing right before the podcast. So
when I was in England, I had the same problem. My dryer was too small, but my washer, I had like a big giant fluffy comforter. and I could cram it into the washer just enough to where it could all get like clean for the most part. But I mean, like, you were like shoving the door shut and trying to get it in there, and there was no way in hell you were getting in the dryer. So it always had to air dry outside for like a couple days. And then England, it always rains. Like, at least when I was there, it was always raining. So you took the chance of like, you put something outside, you weren't guaranteed of getting it dried in a day because it was always overcast, and then it always like would rain like once a day. So then it take like 2 or 3 days for the comforter to actually dry. But at least it smelled like spring, or nice, like nice rain, like outdoor, because it just sat outside forever, waiting for it to dry. But yeah, no, I feel your pain on the small washers and small dryers, because yeah, like you could only fit probably like 10 shirts in my washer, and that was it.
Yeah, it's pretty small. I hate doing dishes, and I hate doing laundry. And if I could, like, if I was rich enough, before I'd buy a fancy car or fancy home, I would just buy replacement clothes and dishes for everyday life, so I don't have to wash anything. That is my idea of luxury right there. All right, I wore this shirt once. Garbage.
Sounds like you just... Go ahead, Ricky.
So it'd just be like a cartoon character. Just have like 50 pairs of like the same pair of pants, and like 50 of the same shirt. Just wear the same thing for every day for a year.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that.
I could do it.
It might be more cost effective just to have a maid. Just like your job is solely dishes and laundry. That's it.
I hate washing things. Luckily, my wife and I have a deal. I cook dinner, she does the dishes. But like even like regular like metal silverware, like getting that clean to a level where it's actually clean doesn't exist or happen. So I mean, we just use chopsticks or plastic silverware. So like, I hate doing dishes. Luckily my wife is all about it and laundry. So
there we go.
I guess the last thing that I did this week is so when COVID started, I decided to start growing out my beard. I guess it probably got about like 4 inches below my chin. I got tired of that and cut that off. So now I have maybe an inch now.
And
like,
we can't see it?
No, because my internet sucks. If I turn the camera on, I'm gonna get frozen images. So you have to relax. But I don't know. Like I guess I never thought about the implications of having a beard like that. Like, just imagine, and I eat a lot of noodles. You're eating noodles, and instead of noodles, you get your beard in your mouth. It's as enjoyable as finding hair in your food. So, that, like, you drop a piece of food, and it's just hanging out in your beard. Now I'm getting tired of that. So, yeah, cut my beard off.
You got a little, just an entire drumstick in your beard.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. Like, we'd just be eating, and my wife would be like, there's rice in your beard. God, this is wonderful.
When I had my beard and Brandy would point that out to me, I'm like, babe, I'm clearly saving it for later. You don't need to point it out.
Yeah, I would do that too. I'm saving it for later. When I want a snack later, it's there, it's ready.
I just wish I could grow a beard. I mean, the facial hair I have now, that's pretty much it. Like, it grows like wildfire, like on my neck here, but then on my cheeks, it's just like splotchy, and it's like, yeah, let me just not do that.
Well, I don't know. I've always wanted to grow a beard out like that, but I don't think I'll do it again. So, and I'm like maybe a few minutes away from doing that to my hair too, because like my hair has gotten really freaking long, and I just it's getting annoying. It's hot. It's always in my eyes. That's like my big thing, is when my hair goes behind my eyeball. Nope.
Just gets sucked up behind there.
Like, I'm not kidding. Like, it will go in my eye, and it's so uncomfortable. Or like if I'm like working on computers or like looking over a bench or something, like that's why I wear a hat all the time, just to keep my hair out of my eyes.
Yeah, you gotta start rocking the man bun, man.
Pretty sure I'd get divorced if I did that.
My brother's doing that now, as he grew his hair out long enough, and he sports the man bun now. And I'm like, I almost want to put my hand up and just like look away and be like,
I used to do it. That's what I used to do. I'm growing my hair out too. I've had to put mine up a few times. That's why I'm wearing a hat now, because it's just all in my face all the damn time.
Yeah.
Like I used to love my hair being long as a kid, but like now I just like it's in my way. I don't want it in my eyes. Like get out of my eyes.
Just buzz it, man. Straight razor.
I like when I was doing that with my beard the other day, like I almost just like, you know what? Let's do it. But no. Not ready to let that
next
bit
time
of my
we see
childhood
Chris,
die.
he's gonna look like Alec or what's his name? Bezos.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos. Yeah.
Just smooth shaven, no hair.
Looks like you just got out of basic training,
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I'd go that short. But
That's almost like, have you seen the picture of Mario, like where somebody like took his mustache off?
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've never in my life seen Chris without a beard, like ever.
No.
I have no idea what it looked like.
Well, I mean, I knew Chris without a beard. You didn't have a beard for Silver Air Patrol.
Yeah, that's back when I was like a teenager.
I think I actually still have a picture of you somewhere on my computer. I found an old SD card from one of my old phones, and I started going through all those photos.
Is that the one where I'm spraying the whiteboard cleaner in my mouth because it had alcohol in it?
Yes, I think it is that one.
Yeah, I got that picture.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I was wearing my flight blues, which meant I could have facial hair, a little bit of facial hair. I think I had a goatee at that time, but yeah, like by the time I hit 21, I had a beard, and that was that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but that's my week. Michael, what have you done with your life?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot this week. So, on the topic of hair and
your
facial
drywall
hair.
hung?
Yeah, actually I put up the last piece today. Well, excuse me, I put the last piece on that one wall today.
With your facial hair?
Yes, with my facial hair. Yes, I just was like I let my mustache just take care of it all.
Like that's the Skittles commercial.
I'm thinking of SpongeBob with the guy with the "That's not how you grow facial hair. This is how you grow facial hair."
So I did put up the last piece of drywall today. That was supposed to go on that one wall. So I still have the other 3 walls to put drywall up, and we'll figure out a time to do that because that's more money and effort than I really want to spend at the moment.
Drywall's expensive, dude.
Well, it's not too bad. Okay. Well, one, I say it's not too bad. One, because I get my 10% off at Lowe's, and so your $10 sheet of drywall is like $9, and or $8 or whatever it is.
It's only $10, really? I thought it was like $30 a piece.
No, even your 3/4 inch or your 5/8 drywall is only like $14 a sheet. $14 a sheet. So
I'm thinking plywood probably then.
Your plywood's more expensive, but yeah,
half-inch plywood, yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds like wetwood numbers.
Yeah, your normal just 1/2-inch drywall 4x8 sheet is usually at Lowe's. Like it depends on like the quality you want, but honestly, it doesn't really give a.
I got your joke, Ricky.
I didn't. It went right over my head.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about drywall. Like, is there a wet wall? Why isn't it just wall?
Wouldn't that be weird? I think that's like if you like put plaster up temporarily, it's wet.
Yeah, it's just it's just being racist. Nobody wants a wet wall. Everybody wants dry walls. So it's just segregation, just in a different area. But no. So I was driving out to the airport Monday, and there was this group of like 8 individuals. Like I don't know if they were Marines, but I think they were like first responders, whether they're firefighters or whatever, but they were carrying like rucksacks on, and they're kind of like hiking and running type of thing or down the street, and kind of like a march or some sort, but like I don't know. Anyway, and this one dude had like a full beard and a beautiful, holy crap, like handlebar mustache that was like over the beard. It was so big and thick, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm doing it wrong. So I've got my sides of my mustache to where I'm able to actually curl them now. But I've only grown out the sides of the very edge of my lip, sides of the mustache out to be able to do that, because I keep the inner portion of my mustache short so that I can actually eat. So I've been training my mustache using wax to actually get the whole mustache to go out to the sides. So I'm actually growing out the inner portion of my mustache now, more than what it was. Like, it looks like a full mustache, but I actually want it to be a full, no kidding mustache. So he gave me inspiration. I don't know who this dude was, but I was just like, dude, holy crap, like full curl, probably like all the way to his ear, like handlebar mustache. Like,
it's too much.
Beautiful. Now, I don't want to go that far, as you guys can see in the video. You guys can see where it's at right now, but I'm going to grow out this portion right here more and then train it to go out. But I was like, beautiful, and he had like the beard. So the beard was nice and long, similar to what Chris's was earlier, you know, where it came down like, you know, an inch or two, a little bit longer below your chin, but then that mustache just sat like on top of it. So there was no like, does he have a beard and a mustache? No, he has a mustache and like a little bit of a beard, and it was like beautiful. So I was just like, I'm doing it wrong, so I have now been training my mustache.
Yeah. Well, now you have to, according to law, you have to now start wearing a top hat as well.
Do I? So
and a monocle.
I might just have to.
Or you have to wear the like Spanish explorer with the striped poofy pants and the metal chest plate. Yeah.
Why not? So.
And go by Ponce de Leon.
Yeah. Who knows? I might just. So that happened at the beginning of the earliest week. But I flew out to Chicago, did a job in Chicago, flew home Tuesday, had like most of Tuesday to myself and Wednesday to myself, and then I had to go back up to New Jersey, which of course, you know, I don't want to like beat a dead horse, but as we know from the last podcast, I'm not a fan of New Jersey. So I went to another site of New Jersey. Now here's what pissed me off, right? Okay, so they were like, it's an emergency, we need you. And so like, all right, well, we're going to send, you know, Mike up there. And since he's not scheduled for a job this week, blah, 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 which is whatever. I'm supposed to work Monday through Friday. So they're like, hey, can you go up to Jersey? I'm like, is it still during the weekday? Yep. All right, send me on a job, you know. But anyway, so they send me up to New Jersey. So I get up there on Thursday, and I decide to stay in Philadelphia. I fly into, you know, Philadelphia, and I decide to stay in Philadelphia because the site was only like right across the river, like 20-30 minute drive. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry I shat on New Jersey last week, but the city of Philadelphia... Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Go Eagles.
Yeah, go Eagles. Anyway, so I'm not going to shit on Philadelphia, especially if our listeners are from Philadelphia, but I wasn't personally a fan. One, maybe it's not just Philadelphia. I'm not a city person. I hate the city, and I don't know why I was just like, fuck it, I'll just stay in the city. I'll just find a hotel in the city and just stay in the city. But so I stayed in this nice Kimpton Hilton hotel, and it was beautiful. They put me on like the 23rd out of the 24th. You know, they had like 24 floors. They put me on the 23rd. Since I've got status with Hilton, they're like, we've upgraded you, and you're gonna like, are you afraid of heights? And I get to know. And but anyway, so I stayed there, drove to site. So I had to be on site at 5 a.m. on Friday, which means that I needed to be up at 3:30. And then I had to walk 2 blocks to the parking garage at 3:45 in the morning. So, you know, walking the city at night, right? Go get my, car, drive it back to the hotel, go up to my room, grab my bags, put them in the car, and then drive to site. So I get to site like half an hour, 20 minutes early, somewhere around there. Nobody's there. Now, they knew I was going to be there at 5 because their machines were down between 5 and 7. And I get there. And they're like, okay, one guy was just like, just wait in the break room. They'll come get you. I'll let them know you're here. 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, nothing. I'm calling my contacts. Nobody's answering. 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:15. Finally, someone gets me. Now, they had their machines down between 5 and 7. They ran production afterwards. So they were like, be here at 5, you can inspect the machine, you can fix it between 5 and 7. They didn't grab me till 7:15 after they started production. So I'm like, okay, so why was I here at 4:45 in the morning? To sit around in a fucking break room for 2.5 hours.
But hey, you got paid.
I did, but I was so tired it wasn't even funny. And then I get to the machine, and I'm like, yeah, your machine's fucked. Yep. And yeah, pretty much. And they're like, well, what do you need to do?
As per my diagnosis.
yeah. And they're like, well, what do you need to do? And I'm like, well, I need you to shut down the machine. I need you to get X part, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, okay, well, we're not shutting down the machine till the first break at 9:30. Now, this is like 7:45. So I sit there and watch the machine till 9:30. And then confirm within a 15-minute window, yep, your machine's fucked. Like, looking at it, I could tell you that. Then I needed to confirm it so I could tell my higher-ups. I didn't leave site till 11, and then I couldn't get any flights out. And then to my hometown, because I'm such in a rural area, you know. I drove home. So then I had to drive through New Jersey. I had to drive through D.C., there was a presidential motorcade against the traffic, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm so glad I'm not in that right now. Then, sure shit enough, as I'm hitting D.C. and I'm passing the Washington Monument on the highway, the presidential motorcade comes up behind me. And I'm like, fuck. I sat in traffic from D.C. all the way down to Richmond. Nice. Like, it was supposed to be a 7-hour drive home. It took me, almost 9. I just sat in traffic from D.C. to Richmond all the way down and then hit another accident south of Richmond. And, oh my God. So anyway, that was a boring portion of my week traveling up there. But the cool thing is, today, I ordered 2 more HomePod minis. And I ordered the Circle doorbell camera that was on Apple's website. So I now have a stereo pair of HomePod minis in my den, and oh my God, is it amazing! I had another speaker set up. These 2 HomePods together, oh my goodness, absolutely amazing. I turned them on and I cranked them all the way up, and I'm just like, it's like orgasmic. The sound quality of those 2.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. I was so excited. Brandy got home from work. I'm like, babe, check this out. And I'm like playing them both together. And she's like, that's so cool. Yeah. And I'm like,
that's okay. Nice, dear.
Yeah. So, and then I installed the Circle doorbell camera today. Had to drill through brick, feed the wire all the way up through the attic, hook up the new chime system and all that fun stuff, and been playing around with that Circle camera. So it's been a pretty good busy week, just traveling nonstop. And I've been playing with these 2 HomePods, and the HomePod we put in the bedroom, and then the that doorbell camera, which is absolutely amazing. I love playing it. I was looking at it on the computer before the podcast, just looking at the home. You know, you can communicate to it. You can have people communicate to you. You know, it goes on. We've got it set up to go through all the HomePods, so that when someone rings the doorbell, all the HomePods chime, so you know that someone's there. We took the old crappy 1960s doorbell out of the house, and all our notifications go to our phone now when someone rings the doorbell. So it's just like, sweet, no matter where we're at. We both have Apple Watches. I don't know. I
just set it up to automatically lock your doors and turn off the lights when somebody rings the doorbell.
Audio file plays. No one's home.
Yep, no one's home. Go away. Actually, you know what? There is a shortcut. I might try that. There is a shortcut. Like, hey, when someone detects motion, then to have a shortcut, and I could probably have it automatically play that shortcut and maybe have it go through the speaker. I don't know, but I'm sure you can figure out some sort of way.
4.
Yeah. So you just have a shotgun just racking. So, you know, someone rings the doorbell and you hear, you know, and they're like, okay, I'm just FedEx. I'm delivering your package. It's like, don't shoot.
To the count of 3, you filthy animal.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing. I might have to try that out. Because I showed you guys a few podcasts ago what I did with my phone charging, where it's like, oh yeah, charge me, daddy. Charge it good. God. You know, so who knows? Maybe I can get the doorbell to do that. But anyway, hook that up. So anyway, that's pretty much been my week. But let's get into our topic, which is movies and games that have been made into movies and games. And there are quite a few out there. And I kind of wanted to... shows? Yeah, I mean, I guess that counts. I mean, it's not like we're going to, limit it and no, it can only be this, you know. Movies, TV shows, YouTube series, I don't know. So,
YouTube series?
I don't know. I mean, Ricky, you're the master at YouTube. I heard.
Equals 3 video game.
So, but yeah, what do you guys think?
Charlie the Unicorn MMO.
Oh my god, I think that'd be an amazing game right there. So, all right, now take out Charlie's kidney. Or,
take your LSD now.
Yeah. Oh, man, that'd be a fun game. I'd play it. 10 out of 10. Or like the farming simulator, or games that like we can even talk about games that have been like real life activities brought into the, like farming simulator, for people who aren't going to go be a farmer but want to know what it's like to drive a tractor and farm.
Me, that sounds like my type of game.
Yep. Goat simulator. I want to be a goat today.
I got paid to play farming simulator. A guy brought in a computer and he said the issue only happened when you played farming simulator consecutively for 3 hours. Well, looks like I'm going to have to play farming simulator for 3 hours on the clock.
You did not.
I did. Yeah, I got myself in a badass tractor and did donuts all over the crops. I think I was on his save game too. So I didn't realize that. I thought because I just started a game. And I think I realized about halfway through, uh-oh. This isn't like a randomly generated world like Minecraft, is it? Oh, no.
You realize it after you, stab all of his pigs with a pitchfork. And
yeah.
Tip all his cows over.
But I did have to wipe his computer, so, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, he was getting that save data back. The one that always throws me off is, I've played it, I downloaded it, just to see what it was all about was Goat Simulator. And I played 3 minutes of it, and I'm like, really? This is a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Tony Hawk on cocaine.
Yep.
But you're a goat.
Yep.
I don't get it. I don't know.
It's the same people that play that are the same people that play the I Am Bread game. So I'm really hoping those are not the critics of these games. I was complaining about last week, people who criticize games that are really good that they just shit on. I'm hoping these aren't the people who be like, oh, it's not like Goat Simulator, it's a piece of shit game, This is no I Am Bread. I'm not a piece of bread. 0 out of 0.
I don't know. So what do you guys think about movies that have been made into games and then vice versa, or TV shows? I know some memorable ones, of course we've got Pokemon, which is I think, okay, this would be dumb, but I think it was the movie first and the game, right?
I was about to say, does anybody here know which came first?
Oh, definitely the game. It was Pokemon Red and Blue came out first, and then
was it?
A few years later,
didn't
Pokemon
the card
movie
game come out first? Wasn't the card game?
That is a good question. I'm not actually sure about the card game.
I don't know. I remember that was back in the era of the Digimons, the little Tamagotchi things you carried around with you. Yeah. And they had the Pokemon, you could get Pikachu, you get Charizard, and Charmander, and the other ones. Whoever they are.
Yeah, I legitimately remember myself enjoying those little crappy, not even backlit, Mr. Game & Watch things.
Yeah.
I used to have not a ton, but I had 3 or 4 of them, and I legitimately looked forward to playing those.
That's all the video games we were allowed to play when I was a kid until we got the Super Nintendo. But we went on road trips. Yeah, I had a little backpack full of those games. I had Tetris on one, and then I had Space Invaders on another one, and I just had all these different little consoles or these little handhelds for the different games.
Imagine pitching Tetris for a movie.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Is that a movie? Yeah. I kind of want to. I want to know.
Maybe.
Tetris the movie coming out this summer.
So,
all the pieces are falling into place. The first thing that I think of, though, for your topic, Mike, is I think of Netflix doing a bunch of animes. I know that's not a game, but a bunch of animes is live action.
Yeah, that's shit. I don't care if we talk about that
and
too.
And they're all garbage.
Some of them are. Yeah. Quick thing.
One.
So Pokemon trading cards came out in December 18th, 1998. Your Red and Blue came out in 1996, and then the first movie came out in 97. So it looks like game, then movie, then the cards.
Then they cashed in on the merchandise. Got it.
Exactly, yep. But yeah, the Netflix series. The only one that I'm really excited for is Airbender. I'm excited for the live action for Airbender. I'm hoping they don't fuck that one up.
Will it top M. Night Shyamalan's masterpiece though?
I don't know.
Look, I love 1984. Okay.
I don't know. Like the first game I think that I ever played that I found out later. This is a movie. Was oh god, I just drew a blank on it. Dumb movie with dragons. The dragons like resurge and come back. It's like a zombie apocalypse but with dragons. Oh, what the hell is the name? Rain of Fire. Yeah.
Oh, with Matthew McConaughey?
I don't know actors' names. You're
You're
lucky.
There's some dragons.
Wait, did you just say?
Rain of Fire.
Rain of Fire. Okay.
Yeah, it was a game I picked up. It was one of those, like, I went to GameStop and I was like, hey, I want to buy a game and I'm a dumb kid with money. And the guy was like, you know what you would really like? And he sold me this game and it was fine. But then, like, I remember playing the game and they had clips of the movie in the game. And I was like, it's really weird that they got actual actors to play in these cutscenes. But then the voices of the characters sound nothing like those people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually, that reminds me. So, I mean, it's on the topic of like movies made into video games. So, a little interesting fact. So, Toy Story, right? So, Woody is voiced by Tom Hanks, and apparently he has a brother. I forget his name. Probably like Tim Hanks or something. But for all of the video games for Toy Story, Tom Hanks' brother plays Woody. So apparently they have a very similar voice, but I don't know, a little fun fact trivia for you there.
How do you feel about your career in that, like, niche that you just fell into?
Yeah, I get to play my brother in a video game.
He probably does more voice acting for the games than he does for the movies.
Yeah,
so like,
I mean, I'd be okay with that. You know,
who's really the Woody?
Bum, bum, bum.
I don't know.
So, but you guys were talking about like anime adaptations on Netflix, and so Pokemon is of course an anime that is based off of a video game. Netflix is actually doing a CGI remake of the first Pokemon movie.
Oh
God.
I mean, basically, my understanding is it's pretty much going to be like a shot for. I mean, maybe not exactly shot for shot, but I mean, it's the same story and everything. They're remaking that movie in CGI for Netflix. Same thing where like all the Pokemon are like cloned and fight each other, and like they go and fight Mewtwo on the island. Like it's the same movie. So,
I have to say I was a big fan of the CGI for Lion King. I wouldn't say it was like I don't enjoy that they cut out a whole bunch of stuff from the original Lion King, but the CGI aspects of it on how realistic the animals were and how it wasn't like you were watching CGI from the 90s or the 2000s where you're like clearly like that big giant blob is computerized.
I'm just trying to figure out who the hell would they get to play Ash Ketchum. Does a human being exist like that?
What, like a little 14-year-old boy that, I don't know.
Just
about
doesn't
like live action or
just doesn't calm the hell down? Yes.
I don't know. I mean, this is CGI. I don't know if it's.
I could think of the kid from Superbad playing him, McLovin.
I was thinking of like live action, like they did like Full Metal and Death Note. My bad. You said CGI. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. Never mind.
I'd almost think of like McLovin if they did a live action.
I don't know who that is.
Superbad?
Superbad.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
Oh wow.
Movies.
Okay. Never mind.
Movies.
Dog.
Chicka yeah, chicka yeah.
I think probably my least favorite. So I love the Resident Evil games. They are fantastic. Those games are awesome. I remember being a kid and playing those and being scared out of my mind. And then the movies came out. And they're bad. Like, the first one wasn't that bad. I mean, if you watch it now, you're like, holy God, this is early 2000s.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know if anybody has ever played a Resident Evil game, but have you noticed how they don't follow one idiot around the whole movie, and they don't just do the thing that the kids on the playground used to do? Be like, I have a magic sword that can do anything. And then you're like, well, I've got a gun that can kill you. No, I have a magic shield. Like, that is whatever her stupid name, Alice's character. Like, she gets into situations, the writers are like, give her psychic powers where she can set the sky on fire. This movie's about zombies, right? Yeah, doesn't matter. Have her walk around without any clothes on. She's in her late 40s, right? Yeah, don't matter.
Naked woman's a naked woman. Fuck it.
Stop focusing on one character and let us see. Like, even if they don't want to adapt the movie, the video game characters, because I can understand. You're not going to find somebody to play a role exactly like the video game character. Like, they tried to do that with Chris Redfield, and it didn't work out. But, just stop focusing on one person and look at the rest of the universe. There's so much more interesting stuff going on aside from this one idiot with superpowers who can do backflips and dumb stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
not a great movie series.
I feel like Resident Evil kind of, I feel like, made a trend as far as movie video game adaptations go. Because I'm kind of with you. If I were to watch it today, it would probably be horrendous. I remember when it came out, I was super excited because Slipknot was on the soundtrack.
Yeah, they played the outro.
Yeah, but yeah, that movie's probably fucking terrible now, and the sequels get no better. I mean, they get worse. But what was so strange about it is, because the Resident Evil video game series kind of started to go downhill because they started, really focusing more on the action aspect of things.
Yeah.
But that is exactly what the movies do. It's all about the action, but they make a shit ton of money. So it's why would we do anything else,
I mean, it's definitely one of Capcom's big cash cows for sure. But I don't know, you have a game that most people will tell you is a perfect video game, and that's Resident Evil 4. And then 5 comes after it, just totally dumps in the bed, and then 6 comes out and it's part of it's good, and then 7 comes out and it's wow, this is a super fantastic video game. It's just Everlast, or not Everlast, what the hell? Outlast. Yeah. So it's what you're doing sometimes. So is it just when you're not huffing chlorine that these good ideas come to you?
Well, and I have to say, my wife will hate me, but she understands my perspective on horror movies. Horror movies, I'm not a fan of horror movies. I call them horror movies. But the stories are usually predictable. There's blood and gore. And, some poor sad chick is screaming, oh no, the murderer is going to be here and I can't seem to open the front door. I'm going to die. And something happens. So horror movies, they're pretty much all the same. So if you're taking a game and you're making a movie out of it and it's horror related, you're pretty much off at a bad start anyway.
I don't understand how you can screw up a zombie movie. It's so easy.
Well, look at The Walking Dead. I mean, that was a horrible series. They're walking towards me at 0.2 miles an hour. See,
that was a really good. There was a video game, the Telltale games of Walking Dead that came out. That was amazing. That game, the story in that game was fantastic. But the TV series, did the writers never cross paths and be like, hey, stop doing that? I don't know.
That show is so annoying. We used to watch it, every Sunday. That was the thing to do. And the AMC knew that was their biggest show, so they just pumped it full. 25 minutes of the 30-minute show or commercials, and Matthew McConaughey driving a Lincoln. It was just or the new Microsoft Surface coming out. It was so annoying.
Yeah.
But I really hate it. The writers thought they think they're so clever, but it's just the dumbest metaphors, and it's so on the nose.
Yeah. I tried watching. I think I got through the first 2 seasons of it slowly, and it was just, I sat there and I'm just this is, why am I wasting my time?
Season 1 came out, I think it was right after that huge influx of zombies into pop culture or whatever. And I just remember watching it being like, this is awful. But I watched the whole first season, and it's just like, all right, cool. Zombies. All right. Oh, my God. He woke up in a hospital. This is 27 days later. Oh, now they're living in an RV and dealing with drama.
Well, and
28 days later.
And like everybody that told me like, oh, you should watch The Walking Dead, I'm like, yeah, I've watched the first season, and they're like, yeah, the first season sucks. You just gotta embrace the suck, and you just have to wait till the second season. Once you get in the second season, you'll get hooked. So I was just like,
I made this milkshake, and at the bottom of it is solid diarrhea. On top of that is delicious ice cream. If you just drink the diarrhea, you'll get to the really good ice cream eventually. Is exactly what I think of when people try to tell me I should watch Walking Dead, the Game of Thrones, and all those other types of shows. Yeah, if you just get past that horrible aspect of the show, it'll be fine.
Well, and see, like, it's one thing if the show sucks. So, like, for Game of Thrones, like, before, when I started watching Game of Thrones, I was back in my, like, hardcore religious phase. And, like, nudity and sex and all that fun stuff was, like, super uber uncomfortable. And, like, oh, my goodness. And they're just like, oh, yeah, just get past the first season. Like, all the nudity, goes away. It doesn't. But, they hit it hard in the first season. And it kind of dies off. That I could understand. If you're just like, okay, if you don't like nudity, just get past the first season. It dies down because there's actually a story building and character development going on, and I can understand that. But when they're just like, oh yeah, the first season's kind of rough, it sucks, it gets better. The only show that I've ever been like, gung-ho about, which you guys know, is The Office. The first season is rough if you're first time watching it, and then the show progresses a lot nicer and smoother, and it is quite phenomenal. And then when you go back and rewatch it, you're just like, oh, okay, so you understand that they were actually making like a breakthrough with The Office in the US, and it kind of takes a different light, and you understand what they're doing. But with Walking Dead, it was trash, and then the second season was trash, and then I was just like, I'm not wasting my time with this. Like, it's not going anywhere. I get it. You move from place to place because zombies appear, and then it's just like a fight to the death because you can't figure out how to open a door, oh no, I got bit, like, I'm crippled because I got bit. Like,
oh no.
AMC's people talking about stuff, and sometimes zombies appear.
And sometimes zombies. Yeah, exactly. Like, a guy gets bit, and they're like, the whole entire episode is them trying to figure out, well, do we kill him or do we leave him? I'm like, well, either way, he's gonna die. So,
well, what did we do last 5 times?
Yeah, like, I don't. So, yeah.
But yeah, like Chris, like you were saying, like that, especially like the very first like Telltale game for the Walking Dead series was fantastic. I mean, it's almost like a point and click adventure type game, but
yeah.
Holy shit, the story was really good.
I almost didn't play that game because it looked like one of those kind of games you give a little kid to like learn, and like they have to make decisions to learn to progress the story. Like, the animation is not good looking, but
yeah, it's almost like a comic book cell shading type of art style.
Yeah, but like you said, the story, like, that is still hands down one of the best stories I've ever heard of or watched or experienced in a video game.
Sorry, which game was this?
The Walking Dead by Telltale Games.
Okay.
It is super good.
Yeah, they also made, on the same topic of like shows and movies made into games, they also did a Game of Thrones game in that same kind of vein. It's like a story that runs parallel to the show. And it was also really good. It wasn't as good as the Walking Dead game, but I still really enjoyed it. It was a really, really good story.
So Telltale Games, I know this is off topic, but they went out of business. How did they go out of business if they were like making AMC's content?
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of I remember that being like a big thing in the video game sphere, but it was just kind of like all of a sudden thing. From what I remember, like they pretty much showed up to work and they were like, "Yeah, we don't exist anymore, so you got to go."
Because they make 7 Days to Die. They're one of the companies with 7 Days to Die. So I mean, those servers are still online, but like not for long.
Yeah, I think they shut down and then they got new management and then they're back again, but I haven't heard anything from them in a long time now.
Yeah, because I was just gonna say, wasn't 7 Days to Die? Oh, I must be thinking. Oh, okay, no, that was
7 Days to Die's old, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking of Dying Light or something else that was related to that. Somewhat close
So
to that.
Wolf Among Us is another really good Telltale game if you haven't played that.
I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a film noir spin on like fairy tale creatures. Sounds kind of weird, but it's good. It's a really damn good game.
So the only other one that I can think of that got adapted, a game that got adapted to movie, and it was a game that I grew up playing and absolutely loved. Like, I'm not a super big nerd about a bunch of games like Ricky is with Halo, like where I know everything and like I go out of my way to like read about the lore. But Silent Hill is one of those games. I love the storyline, the atmosphere, the music, the characters, the idea of being put it through your own personal hell to pay for, you know, your transgressions or whatever. Like, that whole idea is amazing. And like every game, I love going through and reading it. There's so much depth beyond what you actually play in the games that you can learn that actually is from the producers of the game. It's not just like fan fiction. So the first movie came out and it was okay. Like,
Yeah.
they got the idea across, but the problem with it was, and this is where I'm gonna flaunt my nerd knowledge. So Pyramid Head, for instance, Pyramid Head only existed in Silent Hill 2 as the main character's like own personal demon. That's like how you see yourself. Every single person who goes through Silent Hill has one of those. So like that was his own personal like demon that he saw inside there. Nobody else would be able to see that demon, but because that's like the thing of Silent Hill, you think Silent Hill, you think Pyramid Head, they had to have him come on screen and do his little song and dance. But I could put that aside and be like, okay, you know what, whatever. The movie was okay. Then 2 came out, the movie 2. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, but the end of the movie ends with a hug fight. I'm not kidding. There is a hug fight on a carousel at the end of the movie. And the carousel is powered by Pyramid Head. Now, that might sound ridiculous and stupid, but that's actually what they decided to put on film and sell to humans. So, Silent Hill.
But now, when you say a hug fight,
I literally mean
please,
a hug fight. So,
like who can hug harder?
sort of, yeah. It's who can hug harder and who has the most spirit or heart, I guess. So like,
Oh,
I don't
God.
want to give away any spoilers, but the movie's so bad that if you watch it, you're going to be laughing the whole time. Anyway, Alyssa is like half demon, half something, and she has a demonic side and a human side, whatever. And at the end of the movie, those two sides meet, and the evil wants to keep Silent Hill going and a bunch of other things, and the good one doesn't want that. So Pyramid Head becomes the good one's bodyguard and is powering a carousel, and the two hug each other to become one.
You.
Yeah.
WTF.
It was bad. The interesting thing, though, the girl that they had play the main character, so there was a game, and she looked and sounded exactly like the main character. So when I saw the trailers, it was like, oh my god, they're going to do a fantastic job with this. And then they didn't. No. It was...
Yeah. So, Doom.
Like, I could
Is it
actually
video
spend my
game?
money on it. Never again.
Yeah.
Did you guys
I forgot
watch the
about-
Doom movie with The Rock?
Yes, I forgot all about that movie. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's really. I had mentioned earlier how Resident Evil kind of, I feel like started a trend with video game movies, because as you can tell, pretty much like for the most part, like all the movies we talked about that have come from video games have all pretty much been okay at best, but most of them are pretty trash. I don't know. Like Doom is kind of like I guess a guilty pleasure. Like it's so bad, but I like it because it's so bad. It's almost like when we watched Llamageddon. It's
I was
that
gonna
same
ask if you were
like
gonna
that
bring that
same
up,
kind
yeah.
of track.
And like when they went into like the video game-esque mode where it was like in the
Yeah.
first person, I was, oh no, stop.
I
It's
see.
not good.
Unfortunately, when it comes to like games that have been turned into movies, or especially movies that have been turned into games, I pretty much just write them off. I just think of, like, and I was telling Ricky earlier, it's just a cash cow. It's, as the reference you made earlier, it's just like, oh, you loved our movie? Play our piece of shit video game. Like, there's only two games that I would vote that were actually really, really good according to the movies were Spider-Man and Pokemon. Now, of course, Pokemon was flipped, as the game and then the movie, but the movie gave you a lot more detail and a lot more it just got you a lot more invested into it. And I mean, even at 28 years old, I still play Pokemon. Well, now I play Pokemon Go. I don't have like a Game Boy, and I don't play the red or blue versions anymore, but I think I stopped after Emerald because I got kind of like just, okay, you guys are just now making up Pokemon, and just for the shits and grins of it, like, oh, this is cat meow, like, whatever.
Yeah, that's about where I stopped. I stopped at Ruby.
So, I just wasn't a big fan after that because it just feels like they were just, like, pulling out of their ass, like, what kind of other creatures can we make? Like, oh, let's make, like, it's like Clink, and it's just a gear. So now this Pokemon's a gear. So, like, everything's a Pokemon. Like, oh, it's a light switch. Let's make it a Pokemon. But at least, especially with the older ones and the classics, the movies gave you a lot more detail and investment into the characters and who you're playing as and catching Pokemon. It was just like it's submerged you into a reality that was not normal. And then Pokemon Go came out, and at least with the first 3 updates, it was awesome because you could catch those Pokemon like you could do the virtual reality aspect of it, or you could just walk around and it was like you were playing Pokemon, but an updated version. But then the same thing with Spider-Man. So, like, when we had our PlayStation, my brother, I didn't like the game initially just because I wasn't a big fan of the superheroes. But my brother really liked Superman. So we played, like, the first Superman on PlayStation where you could just, like, your basic stuff where you could web sling, and kind of, like, float through the city.
And Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man.
You're saying Superman, but Spider-Man.
So,
okay.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Did I say Superman? Whatever. I'm also drinking.
Okay. I got you.
So,
I got you.
Whatever.
I would have believed that Superman has webs, so...
Yeah, what does Superman not have anyway, right? So, but, like, even with the basics Spider-Man, you could, just sling webs, kind of like just fly through the city, jump from buildings, and then you could just, beat up enemies, and it was rather challenging, but it was actually good because you could actually play as that character and play that same story, defeat Dr. Octopus, whatever his name is, the professor guy.
Dr. Octagonopus.
Yeah, whatever his name is. And then you could just kill bad guys and stuff like that. And it was really fun, and even going back and playing it, yeah, the graphics are complete shit, but what video game that was built in the 90s and early 2000s when you play it now aren't. But those are like the only 2 movies into games or games into movies that I was just like, hell yeah, about. Every other game, like even Attack on Titan, I'm tempted to get it, but at the same time, like, it looks like a good game, but it's just slashing giants, it's just put, from the trailers, because I watch a lot of trailers because I was like, I'm very hesitant about going and getting a game that's from a movie or vice versa. And so when I saw Attack on Titan, it was an ad somewhere, and I was like, oh my goodness, that'd be amazing. And then I was watching all the trailers and the gameplay, and I'm like, there's a lot more you could have done with the game just by watching the gameplay that I was just like, I'm not going to spend my money on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat because there's 2 of them. There's 2 Attack on Titan games, and they, like, graphically, they honestly kind of look like they were made in the PS2 era. Like, they do not look impressive at all.
Yeah.
But I've heard of the 2, if you're going to get one, definitely get 2 because apparently the swinging around and everything is a lot more refined.
Yes, that's exactly what I heard as well.
Yeah.
I know Full Metal Alchemist made a game. I don't think either of you have watched that series, but it's one of my favorite. But they made a game, and it was pretty much exactly like the anime. I mean, there was a couple of things that were kind of screwy about it, but the game was a good adaptation. But I think that was PS2 era, if I remember correctly. So it was way back there.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to go off topic and say I don't know. Does the Siri Easter egg work for Pokemon anymore?
I didn't know there was one.
Oh,
Yeah, same.
maybe I said too much. Steve Jobs will.
Google, do a barrel roll.
So
I think
Siri, Pokemon Go.
So with all the original Pokemon, you used to be able to say, hey, the AI's name.
There was a
and you
there
could
was
say
a Pokedex.
Warframe. Yeah, it was a Pokedex inside of Siri. So
Oh,
you could
yes.
say Warframe, Charizard.
Yeah, so
I haven't tried that in eons.
I haven't tried it. Yeah, it's like Wolfram Alpha or something like that, and then whatever.
Yeah, it worked for all the original Pokemon.
Yeah, I used to actually have an actual Pokedex. Like, dude, I
never really got big
obsessed
into
with
Pokemon.
I did. I used to carry around like a stuffed Pikachu with me everywhere. Like, I would like keep him in my jacket, and his head would be poking out. Yeah, I was that kid. I was obsessed with Pokemon.
Super
but
popular.
Yeah, we were talking about like, I guess, like the Pokemon movie, like Netflix adaptation, and so I started Full Metal Alchemist. I hear Brotherhood is basically the better version to watch because there's not as much filler, is my understanding, right?
Brotherhood's a lot longer. There is more filler. The story leads up to sort of the same point, and then it splits. But I feel like Brotherhood does a better job with the resources available. As to where the first one, just Full Metal Alchemist, was, I guess, like the original, so it's got a special place in my heart.
Yeah, so have you seen the Netflix adaptation of it?
No, and I refuse to. I saw a commercial for it, and I think my wife watched it, or she was going to watch it. I can't. After Death Note and all, no, I can't do it, man. I love that show too much.
I like I said, I started the show, but I've never got around to finishing it. So, but I did actually watch the movie, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I felt like they got a pretty good gist of the way, like how anime people look and talk and everything. It was okay. It wasn't the best movie, but it wasn't horrible. And that was actually the next one I was going to talk about, was Death Note. So that was actually my first foray into the Death Note stratosphere, so to speak, and I actually liked the movie. I know a lot of people shit on that movie, but I actually really liked it, and that I guess prompted me to go and actually watch the show. And I had liked the show until that blonde hair girl shows up, and I'm like, I cannot deal with your voice. You are literally giving me a headache.
I guess
I quit. I never finished it.
That was one of the animes that I read the manga first. I used to hang out at a Books A Million a lot, and I would just read entire series, and I read the entire manga, and then I watched the show, and I think I was the same way. It was interesting because a lot of the characters, you imagine how they sound in your head, and then they actually sound like that. I know the exact girl you're talking about because I was the same way. That is not at all what you were supposed to sound like.
That's the same for me when they make movie or books or movies from books. Because when I read books, and I very rarely read books, but I was reading Aragon, and I was imagining all these things. I think I got halfway through the second book, and then I got tired of reading. So, because I don't like to read, so I like to read certain things. Let's say that. And so I was reading that series, or at least half of it, and I had these imaginations of what everything looked like, and then I'm talking to my brother, who's a big nerd about that, and he's like, "No, that's not what that city looks like. That's not what that event happened." And and then I watched the movie, and the movie was complete shit. And,
oh god, that movie was so bad.
And that's the same thing. It's just Game of Thrones, from what I understand, is all the way up to the last 2 seasons was pretty, for the most part, close to the books. And of course, since the last books weren't written, they did their own thing because they weren't released in time. So they kind of just made up something weird, and then of course we saw how that ended. But that's if I do read a book series, which is not my type of book that I like to read. Aragon was one of them. It's just man. It's just so you imagine one thing, and then they turn it into something, or they show you something, and you're like, that's not what I thought. That's not what I imagined. It kind of almost ruins it. But it's a really hard adaptation because so many people could imagine different things. Like there's like that underground city in Aragon. I think at like the end of the first book, you know, where I think it was like the dwarves or something, and I can't remember what it was, but there's like that whole city or whatnot that's hidden that he goes into, and you have like this whole imagination of what it is, and it's just, you know, I never did read Hobbits,
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. So I never did read those books. I don't really know if the books really followed the movies or whatnot. But
Yeah.
you know, I would have a horrible time after watching the movie reading the books, because I would imagine what the movie would look like, and then I would try to piece things together and couldn't.
I feel like that kind of enhances it for me because you know, we talk about Lord of the Rings is like one of my favorite movies or series of all time. And for years, I wanted to read the books, and I finally got around to it a few years back. I just bought like the whole trilogy, and I guess being able to picture it, like knowing what people look like and sound like, and you actually have like, you know, what these places look like.
Yeah,
I felt like that actually helped me with reading the book, and there are some things that the book goes into that actually explain things that they didn't really go into in the movies that make it actually make a little bit more sense. So that actually helped me. But I actually had the opposite experience with that. So I, you know, the World War Z movie that with Brad Pitt that came out, not very good.
trash.
The book, however, was really damn good. And how they messed that up, I don't know.
I think the South Park episode about World War Z is better than the movie.
Change. Yeah, the movie was not very good.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's another one. The South Park games.
I like the Stick of Truth.
Stick of Truth was the one that I played, and like that was like the show in a game. Like it was everything that the show was in a game, and it was really good. And I don't know that much about South Park. It was still fun and enjoyable.
I never played the Stick of Truth, but I did just watch the episode where it was just like, I did watch that whole entire 3-part series or 3-part episode about that, and there's like, and video game, you know, the Stick of Truth coming out, blah blah blah, and you know, they make a sarcastic remark like, it's not happening, don't wait for it, and I was like, I never did play that game, but I did play, there was a iOS game that was South Park related, where you had like all the South Park characters, and you battled other South Park characters, and it was actually kind of really fun, but it wasn't enough to actually keep me playing it.
They released another one too, the Fractured But Whole.
Yeah,
Fractured
like,
But
they released a couple South Park games.
Yeah, I never played the newer one.
Yeah, I never got around to playing those, but I watched. I want to say I actually watched PewDiePie play through Stick of Truth, and it was hilarious. I mean, it's like you were saying, Chris. Like it looks and feels exactly like the show.
Yeah,
and it's really plays out like it's like a turn-based RPG, right? Like you kind of take, you attack, then the enemy attacks. So, yeah, I mean I would definitely enjoy playing that. I just have never got around to it.
Yeah,
the only South Park game,
voice acting is like exactly like the show. So
yeah,
I might have to try
they did a spot on job with it. Yeah.
I absolutely love South Park. I'll catch I don't know what to watch, and I've gone through all the airplane movies that I want to watch, and I'm like, I've got all seasons of South Park all the way up to like the latest pandemic special episode downloaded on my iPad, and I just watched all of South Park, and just waste time on the plane watching South Park. I'm like, I love it. It's like you're stepping back in time, you know, as they make fun of every event that goes on. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the only South Park game that I have played was the one that came. It was the first-person shooter that came out on the N64, where you literally would just throw snowballs at turkeys, and that was the game. Not very good, but talking about first-person shooters on the N64 and like movie adaptations.
You say GoldenEye.
So GoldenEye originally was good. Like it was a really fun game, but going back to it now, ooh, God, that game does not hold up very well.
I never got behind that game.
How can you exist in a game world without an X and Y access control?
Yeah, it's not. It's not good.
I never got behind GoldenEye. Like I remember I went over to a friend's house. They had Smash Brothers and GoldenEye.
Yep.
And they were like, "Let's play Smash Brothers." And I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing." They're like, "Let's play GoldenEye." I was like, "Whoa, I'm gonna go to sleep."
That was I remember doing lots of sleepovers as a kid, and everybody's like, it was either Halo or GoldenEye, and they'd play GoldenEye, and I was just like, this game's garbage. Like,
I know nothing. I know nothing about the
hold up.
story mode from that game.
Yeah, me
I only
either.
know about the multiplayer.
Yep, the
Just like
multiplayer,
Halo.
and it was still absolute trash. I'm sure whoever's listening, is just probably like, yeah, fuck you guys, you guys don't know what good video games are, but I just never got behind that game. And I knew it was like the rave. Everybody was like, oh my goodness, did you play GoldenEye last night? Like, oh yeah, it was amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Yeah, go play GoldenEye today. It ain't good.
yeah.
Maybe it never was. And I just didn't.
I don't think it ever was. I don't think I think
That's-
it was
yeah,
just one
that's
of those
probably
things that everybody was hyping up, and it was like the latest and greatest fad, and yeah, it definitely
I
has
mean, 'cause
not stood the test of time.
By that time, I had already played Doom, so like I was just like, "This is not good."
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I guess like actual good. I guess going back the opposite direction, I guess movies that are based on video games. I wanted to watch it this week, but I never got a chance to. But of course, being all up into Final Fantasy VII, I really wanted to go and watch. Which there's two of them, but the one I really wanted to watch that I watched a few years back that actually still surprises me how good this movie looks is Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
Mm-hmm.
That movie came out in, I want to say 2001 was when that movie came out. 2000, 2001 time frame. And
Advent Children was in 2006 or 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And that movie still looks good. It's not as good as you remember it looking, especially now that I've played the remake of 7. It looks good. It's all right. But I mean, Spirits Within, it looks better than most Pixar movies that were out at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely tell it's dated. Like there's, the way that the characters like move, like you can tell like I guess mocap wasn't really up to snuff or where it's at now. But the faces for the most part look pretty good. There's a little bit of uncanny valley there, and the skin kind of looks like a tad rubbery.
Yeah.
But yeah, damn, what a good movie. I watched it a few years back.
I had that ringtone from Advent Children for a long time, and nobody got it.
I don't remember that off the top of my head. I absolutely had the one from Advent Children.
Yeah.
That was my text tone for forever after that movie. But yeah, do you guys have a movie that was actually good based off of a video game?
I go back to Pokemon, honestly. I thought the first Pokemon movie was absolutely phenomenal. I think pretty much most of the Pokemon movies I've watched are absolutely phenomenal. I was big into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I thought the TV shows, the animation was really, really good for Yu-Gi-Oh! Along with playing the card games, because I'd always want that
Dude, we had one of those.
Card band thing. I always wanted one of those. I made one out of Legos, but
It's time to duel.
Yeah, I even out of Legos, I made a yellow, blue, and gold pyramid that would hold my legendary god cards because I had Ross, Slifer, and Obelisk.
Not this time, Yugi boy.
And I had cutouts for those and the triangles for those in that Lego pyramid for those cards, and I put them on a display. So
Exodia, the forbidden one.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great, especially when you got into the Egyptian. When you got into the Shadow Realm and you're dealing with what's his nuts from the Shadow Realm.
What's his nuts?
It's been so long.
Pegasus?
No, it wasn't Pegasus. No, was it? So Pegasus did the Toon World. There was the Egyptian dude.
Yeah.
That whole entire Egyptian part stuff. It was like it wasn't anyway. So him, and when you start getting into like the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and basically the quote unquote history of the Egyptians and playing, Yu-Gi-Oh, and it takes you into like a kind of like a separate thing. Yeah, that was like when it got to that part, I was like, oh my goodness, because you realize the pyramid that Yugi is carrying all the time has a connection to the past, and it's Egyptian, and there's different keys, and there's different relics.
My wife is such a dork for Egyptian stuff, and that's the only reason she likes that show. Not because it's good, but because it has to do with Egyptian stuff.
Because it has to do with... Like, oh, look, there's a pyramid. It's got something to do with Egyptian.
Oh my god,
Triangles.
knock off Pokemon.
Yeah. So Yu-Gi-Oh! And the movies or the TV shows. I even went to, like, a premiere of one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movies where if you got there in line early enough, you got, like, the 4 rare cards or whatnot for it.
That's pretty cool.
And so I went to that because I was a big fan of that. My mom let me go to that. So anyway, Chris, what
Thanks,
what do
Mom.
you think? Yeah.
I really can't think of any. I've seriously been sitting here racking my brain. I can't think of any adaptations of movies to games that I'm just like, that's good.
I can give you one.
What?
District 9.
District 9 was a game?
Kinda. So, little backstory for District 9. So, in District 9 how the beginning of it is it's like a newscast
Bad.
almost, like it's all in first person.
It's all bad.
So,
yeah, I remember that.
Originally, so they were going to make a Halo movie. Then, for whatever reason, like creative differences or whatever, it never went through. So, originally District 9 was just going to be that, just like the newscast, like a short film. But then there's like a certain point in the movie where it just kind of it changes and it goes to more of like a traditional sci-fi type movie. So they picked up the funds that they were going to use for the Halo movie and made District 9 into a full feature length movie.
What a fantastic waste of money. Dude, that movie was bad. I guess speaking of that, Ricky, I'm kind of surprised you haven't talked about any of the Halo adaptations to film.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was thinking of movies that were in the theaters. So I mean, yes, there are Halo movies, but they were kind of like straight to DVD type things. But yeah, Forward Unto Dawn for Halo 4 was fantastic, and then the one that they did for Halo 5, Nightfall, was just trash. It was garbage. They also did a CGI movie called Fall of Reach, which is actually based off of the book. Fall of Reach actually came out, I think I had mentioned this previously, but so Fall of Reach actually was a book that came out before the first Halo game came out. And so this is basically the story. So we were talking about like Master Chief, like where he came from, and like when he was kidnapped and everything, like all that actually takes place in the book / movie. So that one's it's not my favorite art style, but the story's pretty good if you like Halo, which most people don't. So, yeah. But yeah, but I cut you off for District 9. You were going to say something.
I was just going to continue on saying how bad it was, but I mean,
oh yeah,
you get the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it is all right.
It was bad. The other thing I think of, like, I'm thinking of like Nintendo, because Nintendo owns Pokemon now. I don't think they always owned Pokemon. I think, did they? I don't know. But I mean, they own Pokemon, and they're willing to pump like a franchise into it. The card games, the video games, Hey You Pikachu, Detective Pikachu, like they're willing to do that stuff to it. But I'm glad that they're not doing that with all of their big stars, like Legend of Zelda, like Mario. I'm trying to think of other big Nintendo names. Those are the two that come to mind. Like, imagine if they did all that garbage with like Link.
Yeah, I think like the Mario Brothers movie that came out, what was it, like the 80s?
Yeah,
I think they saw that and they were like, ooh,
let's not do that again.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing.
I would love to look into the backstory of that. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I think there was a
wrong?
TV show too. But, like, yeah, it's just like Did you guys play the game at all? I mean,
Mario?
the storyline's not that complex. So, like...
Mario?
How did you... Yeah.
I thought you were posing that question to us, but you were talking to the writers of the movie.
Yeah, the fictitious writers.
Yeah.
That I don't think
quote-unquote writers.
They just kind of put a bunch of words in a blender and was like, here it is, the script.
Yeah, I kind of would like to see a Legend of Zelda movie if it were done right. And I don't know if live action would be the way to go. I think it would have to be like animated.
I've seriously thought about that. Like, how do you do that movie right? Do you make Link talk or not? Like, if you do, well, there goes. Like, so, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I mean,
I feel like you could do it if you really knew the games and you really cared about keeping the story good. But like, I just feel like anybody who's gonna pick up that script and be like, yeah, I'm gonna make a movie out of it, they're gonna like turn it into some, like, I don't know, overdone fantasy World of Warcraft-esque nonsense.
Yeah. Which was another movie that did horribly.
So Navi is like a strong female character who puts Link in his place and talks about equality between fairies and humans.
I think they could do a movie with Link not talking, because A Quiet Place, if you ever watched it by John Krasinski directed it, I thought it was a good movie. And they're coming out with a second one, but that whole entire movie, they're pretty much not talking throughout the whole entire movie, because of course if they talk, then the monsters come, or the monster or whatever, wrecks their whole entire home and whatnot. So you pretty much went through that whole entire movie with complete silence, and it was a good movie. Or at least I thought it was a good movie.
I mean, I guess that's the other thing too, is like, you have to have the supporting characters carry, I guess, story building. Because when you think about like Legend of Zelda, a lot of it, there is no dialogue happening. Link's going through these dungeons and stuff. Well, how do you express Link being worried or concerned or frightful or happy in these dungeons without any, like, vocals happening? And I guess another part of it is too, like, Legend of Zelda is all about puzzle solving. Well, watching a movie about puzzle solving is not that interesting. So, I don't know. I feel like it could be done well, but you better be real careful.
Yeah, and I think you'd have to rely on facial expressions a lot and cinematic, music. Just have some sort of music to where it's just like, da da da, whatever. If you did it right, you use the music and facial expressions to give that.
I guess that's what I mean. I just feel like it'd be a lazy man's way out to just do to have Link speak those things.
Yeah.
It's easy to tell the audience, "Hey, I'm happy," if the character says, "Hey, I'm happy." But like figuring out other ways to get that point across is more difficult.
Yeah.
And I don't know. If somebody didn't care about the franchise, I feel like they just rushed into it and try to pump it out.
Yeah. Is there a canon reason why he doesn't speak?
No, just for some reason the hero of time. I mean, but see, that's the interesting thing too, is like, you respond to people like you're choosing what Link says, but like we've never heard him speak. So, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Maybe he just doesn't have very much to say.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just what you need. You just need subtitles. So Link doesn't actually speak, just subtitles of what he's saying, but you don't actually audibly hear it.
Then I feel like the other thing they would do is be like, at the end of the movie, Link says something. Oh my god, that answers all the questions. Stop. Left-handed, he doesn't talk. That's it.
Just leave it that way.
So, talk about like bad movies or bad video games that were adapted from movies. So, do you guys know about the legend of E.T.? Of the E.T. video game?
No,
the game
I wasn't a fan of the movie.
They tried to erase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I need to go back and watch E.T. I feel like I started watching it like a year or so ago, and I was like, wow, this acting is actually terrible. Like, I remember, like, they were sitting around the table, like, deciding, like, they were like eating pizza or something, and it was like, damn, this is some cheesy ass acting. But anyways, that the movie was a hit. Like, people loved that movie when it came out. So, but of course, they put out a video game. It was on one of the Ataris. I know there's a bunch of variants or whatever. I don't know which one exactly, but they came out with a movie adaptation of E.T. on the Atari, and it was like Chris said, like it was so notoriously bad that they actually tried to erase this movie or this game from history. So there was like this myth or like this legend, you could say, that they actually took all of the cartridges of this game and actually went out into the desert and buried them so that nobody would ever know where they went, or they would basically hopefully that people would just forget about the game. And that was like a what?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that was a myth for like the longest time, like one of those like urban legends, like, oh yeah, they're buried out in the desert somewhere, like, just to be forgotten for all of time. But that just sounds so far fetched. Like why the hell would anybody do that?
I feel like I remember reading at one point that they actually did a buyback for that game. Like they would pay you to give them the game, so that way nobody had a copy. But that was a few years ago. That may not be true.
Yeah, I don't know about that part. That would be hilarious, though. Can you imagine? Like,
can we
you put
pay
out a
you
game
to not play this, please?
We will pay you to not play it.
We'll buy it back from you so you can stop shitting on our game. For the love of God, let us buy it back.
Yeah, so I want to say this is probably around like 2012, 2014 timeframe. And I remember watching this live. They did a live stream of it where apparently they had tracked down the coordinates where all these games are supposedly buried out in this desert. And they had like all these like heavy machinery. They had like backhoes and everything out there to dig into the desert. And they were like, we're going to find out if it is actually here. See if the legends are actually true. And they were true. There were hundreds of these ET cartridges just buried out in the middle of this desert. And they dug them all out. And they were like, here they are. Like holding them up to the camera. Like it was true. Like what the hell?
No way they worked. Did they try?
I don't know if they tried it or not, but it was like, what the fuck, dude? This actually happened.
A business paid for this.
Damn.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like being an employee and like going into your boss's office and he's like, remember that game you released? I want you to go bury it in the desert.
Yeah. Bury
it. That's funny, sir. I'm not kidding. Go bury it.
Now.
That's funny.
It really happened. True story. Yep, that was it. That was a lot.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps us up for this episode on the Pixelated Porch Podcast. Thank you for joining us, friendly nerd gamers. Yet again, let us know what your favorite games adaptations from movies or vice versa are. Hit us up on our Twitter and all that fun stuff. We'd love to see if there's something that we missed, which I am 100% sure there are plenty of games that we did not talk about on this podcast. As usual, we have recommendations, and my recommendation is, well, you guys heard about it last week. I highly recommend Outriders. So yeah, right. So we've got we've got a few days before the actual release of the game. Give that demo a shot, and go out and play some Outriders and see what you guys think about that. And if you guys have any negative reviews, just keep them to yourself. But that would be it for the podcast today. See you guys next time.
This has been the Pixelated Porch Podcast. We're the friendly nerds, Ricky, Chris, and Mike. You can listen to us on all major podcast platforms. Plus, we're on Twitter and YouTube. Just search Pixelated Porch.
Thank you, Michael. You didn't say roll that intro. I'm getting tired of editing.
Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm going to stop recording.